Let's start with something interesting. 6 accidental inventions you can't live without. Number 1. Penicillin. You wouldn't survive modern life without it. Before 1928, a minor infection could kill you. A simple cut while cooking, a scratch from a nail, a routine surgery, even childbirth. Once bacteria entered the bloodstream, there was very little doctors could do. Hospitals weren't just places of healing, they were places of risk. Then came a mistake. Alexander Fleming returned to his laboratory in London after a vacation and noticed something unusual in a petri dish he had forgotten to clean. Mold had contaminated the bacteria culture. Normally, that meant failure. Throw it away. But Fleming noticed a clear zone around the mold. The bacteria had died. Here the mold, Penicillium notatum, was producing a substance that killed harmful microbes. He named it penicillin. At the time, he couldn't fully purify or mass-produce it, but the discovery was real. Years later, scientists Howard Florey and Ernst Chain refined the process and scaled production during World War II. Suddenly, infected wounds that once meant certain death became treatable, and everything changed. Modern surgery became safer because infections could be controlled. Organ transplants became possible. Chemotherapy, which weakens the immune system, became survivable. Premature infants had protection. Dental procedures became routine. Even something as simple as removing your appendix stopped being a gamble with mortality. Penicillin wasn't just another drug. It launched the antibiotic era. The life expectancy increased dramatically in the 20th century. Not just because of technology, but because infections stopped wiping people out at scale. You may never think about it. You swallow a pill. You get an injection. You heal. But behind that simplicity is a contaminated dish that rewrote human survival. Without antibiotics, modern medicine collapses. A forgotten lab mistake became a foundation. And today, you can't live without it. Number 2. Anesthesia. You would never agree to modern surgery without it. Before anesthesia, operations were acts of endurance. Patients were held down by assistants. Alcohol was used to dull the pain. Limbs were amputated as quickly as possible, not for precision, but for mercy. Surgeons measured skill by speed because every second meant agony. Pain wasn't managed. It was survived. Then came an unexpected observation. In the early 1800s, nitrous oxide, known as laughing gas, was mostly used for entertainment at public demonstrations. Volunteers would inhale it and behave unpredictably, laughing or stumbling around. But one dentist, Horace Wells, noticed something strange during one of these events. A participant injured his leg while under the gas. He didn't feel it. Wells began experimenting with nitrous oxide for dental procedures. Soon after, ether, another chemical vapor, was publicly demonstrated as a surgical anesthetic in 1846 by William T. G. Morton in Boston. A patient underwent surgery without screaming in pain. The medical world was stunned. For the first time in history, surgery could be performed without unbearable suffering. Anesthesia didn't just reduce pain, so it expanded possibility. Complex operations that were once unthinkable became achievable. Surgeons no longer had to rush. Precision improved. Internal procedures became viable. Organ repair, tumor removal, heart surgery, none of it would exist safely without reliable anesthesia. Even childbirth changed. Pain management transformed the experience of labor and reduced trauma. Modern dentistry became tolerable. Emergency surgeries became survivable. What began as recreational gas and chemical experimentation evolved into one of the most critical foundations of modern medicine. Today, millions of procedures are performed every year because anesthesia makes them humane and possible. You don't think about it when you sign a consent form. You simply trust that you'll wake up after. But without anesthesia, and surgery would still be a nightmare of restraint and screaming. A gas once used for laughter became a shield against pain, and modern medicine depends on it every single day. Number 3. World Wide Web. You used it today, probably within minutes of waking up. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee wasn't trying to create social media, online shopping, streaming platforms, or viral videos. He was a computer scientist at CERN, the European Physics Laboratory trying to solve a simple problem. Scientists couldn't easily share information. Different computers used different systems. Documents were scattered. Research was hard to connect. Berners-Lee proposed a way to link information across networks using hypertext, clickable references that could jump from one document to another. It wasn't meant to change the world. Yes, it was meant to organize paperwork. He built the first web browser, the first web server, the first website. He created HTTP, HTML, and URLs, the foundations of what we now call the World Wide Web. And then something happened. It spread. The web allowed information to move freely between computers anywhere on the planet. Universities connected, businesses connected, individuals connected. What began as a research tool became a global infrastructure. The web didn't invent the internet, but it made the internet usable. Suddenly, communication accelerated. News moved instantly. Commerce went digital. Entire industries transformed: banking, media, education, entertainment. Remote work became possible. Social movements gained global visibility. Without the web, there is no modern e-commerce, no search engines, no video streaming, no online maps, no instant global communication as we know it. It rewired how humans exchange information. Berners-Lee didn't patent it for profit. He made it open and free, allowing it to expand rapidly. What started as a practical solution for scientists became the backbone of modern civilization. You depend on it for work, for knowledge, for connection, for survival in a digital world. It wasn't designed to dominate daily life. It was designed to share files. But today, nearly everything you do online exists because of that proposal written in 1989. A system built to link documents. That ended up linking humanity. Number 4, pacemaker. Your heart beats on its own, until it doesn't. When the heart's electrical system fails, the rhythm becomes unstable. It may slow dangerously. It may pause. It may stop sending coordinated signals to pump blood effectively. Before modern intervention, severe arrhythmias often meant sudden death. Then came an accident in a laboratory. In 1956, engineer Wilson Greatbatch was building a device intended to record heart sounds. While assembling the circuit, he inserted the wrong resistor, a small electrical component that controls current flow. Instead of recording signals, the device began emitting rhythmic electrical pulses. He noticed something critical. The pulses mimicked the natural electrical pattern of a heartbeat. Instead of discarding the mistake, Greatbatch realized the potential. If controlled electrical impulses could stimulate heart tissue, then perhaps a failing heart could be supported artificially. The concept of electrically stimulating the heart had been explored before. But devices were bulky, unreliable, and impractical for long-term implantation. Greatbatch refined the design, focusing on compact circuitry and battery efficiency. The result was the implantable pacemaker, a small device placed under the skin, connected to the heart with leads. When the heart's rhythm slows or falters, the pacemaker delivers tiny electrical impulses, keeping the heartbeat steady and life-sustaining. The impact was immediate and profound. Patients who once lived in constant fear of fainting or cardiac arrest could regain stability. Survival rates for severe arrhythmias improved dramatically. Elderly patients gained years of life. Children born with heart rhythm disorders had hope. Today, millions of people worldwide rely on pacemakers. The device works quietly. You don't feel it. You don't hear it. But it's there, regulating the most essential rhythm in your body. A wrong resistor, a miswired circuit, a pulse that wasn't supposed to happen. That mistake became a life-saving technology embedded inside human chests across the world. When your heart forgets how to beat properly, a tiny machine remembers for you, and you can't live without it. Number 5, stainless steel. Your kitchen depends on it. Your hospital depends on it. Your city depends on it. And it was discovered by accident. In 1913, English metallurgist Harry Brearley was trying to solve a problem for the British arms industry. Gun barrels were eroding too quickly under heat and friction. Brearley experimented with different steel alloys adding varying amounts of chromium to improve durability. Most of his test samples were discarded, or so he thought. Weeks later, while reviewing scrap metal pieces outside his laboratory, he noticed something unusual. One of the discarded samples hadn't rusted. That shouldn't have been possible. Steel rusts, especially in damp English weather. But this particular alloy, containing about 12% chromium, resisted corrosion. The chromium reacted with oxygen in the air, forming a thin, invisible layer of chromium oxide on the surface. That layer prevented further rusting. It healed itself if scratched. It protected the metal beneath. Brearley hadn't set out to create rust-proof steel. He was solving a weapons problem. But what he stumbled upon was stainless steel. The implications were enormous. Kitchenware became more hygienic and durable. Surgical instruments could be sterilized repeatedly without degrading. Food processing improved, since infrastructure gained corrosion-resistant components. Skyscrapers, bridges, rail systems, and medical tools became stronger and safer. Hospitals rely on stainless steel because it resists bacteria buildup and can withstand intense cleaning. Modern architecture uses it for both structural integrity and aesthetic appeal. Even the cutlery in your drawer likely traces back to that accidental alloy. Before stainless steel, rust was constant. Maintenance was endless. Hygiene was harder to maintain. Today, corrosion-resistant metal is so common you barely notice it. But without it, modern construction, medicine, and food safety would look very different. Brearley wasn't trying to change households. He was trying to improve gun barrels. Instead, he created a material that reshaped daily life. A scrap metal mistake. That made rust optional, and quietly became essential. Number 6. Teflon. You cook with it. You wear it. You rely on it in places you've never even seen. And it was discovered by accident inside a frozen gas cylinder. In 1938, chemist Roy Plunkett was working at DuPont, experimenting with refrigerant gases. He stored a sample of tetrafluoroethylene gas in pressurized cylinders, planning to use it for chemical reactions. When he returned to one cylinder, something strange happened. The gas was gone. But the cylinder still weighed the same. Curious, Plunkett cut it open. Inside, instead of gas, he found a white waxy powder clinging to the interior walls. The gas had polymerized spontaneously, forming a new material. It was slippery, incredibly resistant to heat, chemically inert, and almost nothing stuck to it. That material would later be named polytetrafluoroethylene, PTFE. The world would know it as Teflon. At first, its uses weren't obvious, but during World War II, Teflon was used in the Manhattan Project because it could resist corrosion from highly reactive chemicals. Its non-reactive properties made it invaluable in handling dangerous substances. Later, it moved into homes. Non-stick cookware transformed kitchens. Cleaning became easier. Oil usage decreased. Food preparation changed. But Teflon didn't stop at frying pans. It coats medical devices, allowing catheters to slide smoothly through arteries. It insulates wiring in extreme environments. It protects industrial machinery from chemical damage. It appears in aerospace components, waterproof clothing, and countless mechanical systems. Its defining trait is resistance. Heat resistant, chemical resistant, friction resistant. That accidental white powder became one of the most versatile synthetic materials ever created. Plunkett wasn't searching for a revolution. He was troubleshooting missing gas. Instead, he uncovered a polymer that would reshape manufacturing, medicine, and daily life. A frozen cylinder, a vanished experiment, and a material so slippery that modern industry quietly depends on it every day. Without it, things would stick, and progress would slow.